She'd given up on love the day her ex walked out, leaving her with a toddler and stack of unpaid bills. But when her best friend practically forced her into meeting just a regular guy at a coffee shop downtown, Sarah Chen had no idea she was about to collide with a man who would shatter every assumption she'd ever made about wealth, worth, and what truly matters in this world. The fluorescent lights of Miller's Diner flickered as Sarah nervously smoothed down her thrift store dress, checking her phone for the 100th time. Her daughter Lily was with her, mother for exactly 2 hours. That's all she could afford to spare from her double-shift schedule. This blind date felt like a luxury she couldn't afford, yet here she was, her heart hammering against her ribs like it still remembered how to hope. "Sarah?" A gentle voice broke through her anxiety. She looked up to find a man in worn jeans and a faded flannel shirt, his smile warm and unassuming. This was Marcus, no last name given, her friend Emma had said. Just a nice guy who works hard and deserves to meet someone genuine. "That's me," she said, standing awkwardly. His handshake was firm but kind, his eyes crinkling at the corners with a sincerity that immediately put her at ease. They slid into a booth with cracked vinyl seats, and Sarah found herself relaxing for the first time in months. Marcus didn't order the expensive items on the menu. Instead, he chose coffee and pie, insisting they split a slice of apple crumble because it's always better shared. "So Emma tells me you're a nurse?" Marcus asked, genuine interest lighting up his face. "Nurse's aide," Sarah corrected quickly, that familiar shame creeping up her neck. "I'm working toward my RN, but with Lily, my daughter, it's slow going. I take classes online when I can, between shifts at the hospital and my weekend job at the grocery store." She'd said too much. Men always ran when they heard about her situation. Single mom drowning in student debt, living paycheck to paycheck in a one-bedroom apartment where the heat barely worked. But Marcus leaned forward, his expression softening. "That's incredible. Seriously, I can't imagine managing all that. Your daughter is lucky to have someone fighting so hard for her future." Something in Sarah's chest cracked open, just a little. They talked for those 2 hours like old friends. Marcus spoke about his work with a vagueness that didn't raise any red flags, something about managing operations and working with teams. He seemed more interested in asking about her dreams, her daughter's love of dinosaurs, her hope to one day take Lily to see the ocean. "She's never seen it," Sarah admitted quietly. "I keep promising, but between rent and daycare and everything else..." She trailed off, fighting back the familiar sting of inadequacy. "You're doing everything you can," Marcus said firmly. "That's what matters. Not the things you can't give her yet, but the love and stability you provide every single day." Sarah felt tears threatening and quickly wiped her eyes. "Sorry, I'm not usually this emotional. It's just been a really long year." "Don't apologize." Marcus reached across the table, his hand hovering near hers in invitation. When she placed her palm in his, the warmth steadied her. "Vulnerability isn't weakness, Sarah. It's courage." When her phone alarm chimed, signaling the end of her borrowed time, Sarah felt genuine disappointment. "I have to pick up Lily. Can I see you again?" Marcus asked, and the hope in his voice mirrored her own. They began meeting whenever Sarah's chaotic schedule allowed. Marcus never complained about the last-minute cancellations when Lily got sick or Sarah picked up extra shifts. He'd show up at the diner after her overnight, shifts with coffee exactly how she liked it. He'd bring coloring books for Lily when they met at the park, sitting cross-legged on the grass and seriously discussing whether T-Rexes could actually roar or just hissed. He never flashed money. Their dates were simple, walks through free museums, picnics with sandwiches they'd made together, movie nights, streaming old films on Sarah's laptop with Lily asleep in the next room. 3 months in, Sarah's world imploded. Lily developed a persistent fever that wouldn't break. The emergency room visit revealed complications from an infection that required immediate surgery. Sarah's insurance barely covered half, and the hospital wanted a deposit she simply didn't have. She sat in the waiting room at 2 in the morning, her phone in her shaking hands, trying to figure out who she could possibly ask for help. Her mother's fixed income couldn't stretch. Emma was struggling herself. Sarah had never felt so utterly alone. Marcus appeared like an answer to a prayer she hadn't known she was praying. He must have seen her frantic text about being at the hospital before. She'd tried to downplay it with, "Everything's fine, just a precaution." "What do you need?" No preamble, no questions. Just presence and readiness to help. "I need $4,500 I don't have," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "They won't do the surgery until—" She couldn't finish. Marcus pulled out his phone. "What's the billing department number?" "Marcus, no. I can't ask you to—" "You're not asking. I'm offering. Give me the number, Sarah." She did, watching in numb shock as he made a call, spoke with calm authority, and within 10 minutes, confirmed the payment had been processed. "How did you—" Sarah stared at him. "Marcus, that's your savings. You can't just—" "Lily needs surgery. That's all that matters right now. We'll figure out the rest later." His voice was steady, certain, like spending that kind of money on a woman he'd known for 3 months was the most natural thing in the world. The surgery went perfectly. During Lily's recovery, Marcus showed up every day with Lily's favorite juice boxes and new dinosaur figurines, reading stories in silly voices that made her giggle despite her discomfort. One evening, as Sarah walked Marcus to his car, a modest Honda Civic she'd noted approvingly. On their first date, she finally asked the question burning in her mind. "How did you have that kind of money just available? And please don't tell me you emptied your retirement account for us." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his hand rubbing the back of his neck in, that gesture she'd come to recognize as nervousness. "I need to tell you something, and I'm terrified it's going to change how you see me." Sarah's heart sank. He was married. He was in debt. "My full name is Marcus Chen. I'm the CEO of Chen Industries." The words didn't compute at first. Chen Industries, the tech company whose headquarters dominated the downtown skyline, the billion-dollar corporation that had just been featured in Forbes. "That Chen? You're joking," she whispered. He pulled out his phone, showing her his employee badge with a title that made her knees weak. CEO and founder. "I started going by just Marcus after my divorce 3 years ago," he explained quickly, words tumbling out like he'd been holding them back for months. "My ex-wife loved the lifestyle, the status, the wealth, but not me. Not the person underneath it all. When Emma suggested setting me up with her friend, I thought maybe if someone could just see me first without all the noise." Sarah backed away, her mind reeling. "You've been lying to me for 3 months." "I never lied. I just didn't correct your assumptions." His voice was pleading. "Every moment with you and Lily has been the most real thing in my life in years. You didn't want my money or my connections. You just wanted coffee and conversation. Do you know how rare that is? How precious? You let me cry about my money problems while you're a billionaire." Sarah's voice rose, emotion she couldn't name flooding through her. "I felt pathetic, Marcus. I felt like I had nothing to offer you, and all this time, you were offering me everything that actually matters." Marcus's voice cracked. "You showed me what real strength looks like, what genuine love and sacrifice mean. You, working 2 jobs and taking night classes and still making sure Lily has birthday parties and bedtime stories. That's worth more than every dollar I've ever made." "I don't know if I can trust this," Sarah said, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know what's real anymore. This is real." Marcus closed the distance between them, his hands framing her face with infinite gentleness. "The way I feel about you and Lily is the most real thing in my life. Yes, I have money, but I also have a life that's been hollow and performative for years. You filled it with light. Sarah, you and your incredible daughter reminded me what I was working for in the first place. Not to build an empire, but to build a life worth living." Sarah searched his face, seeing the same man who'd split pie with her, who'd sat in hospital waiting rooms, who'd made her daughter laugh when she was scared. The money didn't change the kindness in his eyes or the way he'd shown up. Consistently and without fanfare for 3 months. "If we do this, if I give us a chance, no more secrets," she said finally. "No more secrets," Marcus agreed. "And Sarah, I'd like to set up a trust for Lily's education. Not because I think you can't handle it, but because you shouldn't have to carry everything alone anymore. If you'll let me." 6 months later, Sarah graduated with her RN degree. Marcus was in the audience beside Lily, who held a sign that read, "My mommy is a real nurse now." In a year, they'd be engaged, and Lily would be the flower girl at a wedding on a beach. The ocean. Sarah had always dreamed of showing her. But the moment Sarah would treasure most came that night in the hospital parking lot, when she'd finally let herself lean into Marcus's embrace and whisper, "Okay, let's try." Because she'd learned that true wealth isn't measured in bank, accounts, or corporate titles. It's measured in showing up, in seeing people for who they are beneath the surface, in choosing kindness when it costs you something real. Marcus had disguised himself as an ordinary man only to prove that extraordinary. Love has nothing to do with money and everything to do with showing up for another person exactly when they need you most.